March 18th, Ellis County Commission meeting to order. All those that are capable, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to thank all those that came from last week, and we had our difficulties, technical difficulties. I think we got everything corrected, so we'll move through the agenda well. I do want to recognize we got the U.S. Senator Jerry Moran here, and appreciate you coming.
I'm glad to have your constituents in front of you. Seems like much safer.
Bobby, would you call the
Commissioner Neil Younger,
Present.
Chair Michael Burgess,
Here.
Commissioner Nathan Liker.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Any changes to the order of business?
I have none.
Considerations, no executive session either, so we'll proceed. Prior minutes, any corrections or changes needed?
Nope, I have none.
Okay. Move on to the consent agenda.
I'll move we approve consent agenda items A through G.
I will second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second on the consent agenda. Any discussion on the topics?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No opposed, passes 3-0. Issues from persons not on the order of business. Again, I know we have people here to speak about the roads, but if there's a topic that's not on the agenda that you'd like the commission to be aware of, please come to the podium and let us know. Okay, looks like Jerry Moran ran off. I thought we were going to get him something. Monthly report. Any comments from the commissioners?
No, I have none.
Status for the month?
Yeah, I'd like to make just a couple of comments. I noticed the calls for the month of February for our communications office were up just slightly over, they're around 12, 13 calls a day. That also coincides with our EMS that's been averaging around 12 or 13 runs a day for the month of February. So a lot of sick individuals that they've had to transport and work with. So we appreciate their hard work. And then I've noticed our sheriff is still kind of running pretty full at his capacity. So he's had to have some inmates out of town yet, so throughout the entire month. But anyway, that's all I had.
Very good. I don't have any additional comments. It was a busy month as always. So I appreciate the work that the county employees have put into it. Next agenda item, Historical Society letter of support. Ms. Amanda Rupp.
Bobby, I hope you have them, 'cause I didn't print them off, right?
Yes,
Okay,
I got
good,
them.
good. Good morning, Commissioners. Amanda
Morning.
Rupp, the Historical Society here in Hayes. I think we discussed it last month when I was here, but I have sent two separate letters for grant support to Darren, who I think gave to Bobby. Hopefully you had time to review those. One is for a grant for the Hayes location for our exhibits space, and it's to the T-Mobile hometown grant. It's for $50,000. And then the other is for the Victoria project, coming from the new tourism attraction grant out of the Department of Commerce from Kansas. So we would appreciate your support in those, and if I have any questions about those projects, I can answer them. Or any other questions? If you'd like to know who the smartest people in Ellis County are, we did have our event 3 weeks ago, and you guys are very intelligent, but the smartest people in Ellis County goes to the team from Herman Physical Therapy. So anyway.
Are they remaining champs?
They are the remaining champs, yes. They were very upset that I kept saying their regular name without saying the defending champs. Anyway.
Is there any financial commitment from us on these grants?
Nope. It's
Okay.
not, they're not even the Commerce one might be a matching grant, but it's covered with us, and the T-Mobile one is not at all. They just want to make sure that we have the support and backing of the community, so.
Okay. I have no problem.
No,
with the
I
chair
don't
signing.
either. Anytime you can get some free money, go for it. You have been.
That's right. That's right. Take it all we can get.
Appreciate that.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Got them signed.
Okay.
Perfect. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
EMS power load cot purchase, Ms. Danita Schrader. Schrader.
Either way, it's fine. Good morning, Commissioners.
morning.
Danita Schrader, Ellis County EMS Director. Today, I'm bringing to you a PO for the purchase of a new cot and power load for our ambulance that we're supposed to be receiving soon-ish. And I'll give you a little update here about it. It was actually supposed to be here in the first quarter, and they're looking at July now. And it seems like we keep hitting snag after snag, and this time it was the hurricane and everything. They get a lot of their parts and supplies on the East Coast, and one of their warehouses got flooded. So it set them back just a little bit, but we're doing fine. Everything's working good, so I think we'll be okay taking it in July. But we decided to go ahead and purchase the cot on our own this time instead of getting it through the bid process, because then it allowed us to trade in our older cot for a little extra money back. So that's what I'm asking for today. We're going to purchase, would like to purchase the cot before the end of March. They're doing away with this model. And they are still in business. They just have a newer model that's going to require, the battery system is different, of course. That's usually what happens when you find something you like. They change it all up. So the battery system is going to be different for the next models that we purchase, and that'll put us using 2 different batteries, which I kind of wanted to keep everything the same if I could, so I thought we'd go ahead and try to get this done. So I'll just have to look at that next year. The cost of those new cots are a little more, and I'll build that into my budget for the next time we get an ambulance order. I guess you have any questions for me? I was going to use the money out of our donation fund from the Jack Samples estate that we received to help pay for this. They asked that we use it for equipment purchases, and I think this is perfect. So
How old is the cot that we have now?
yeah, how old?
What?
Some of them are from 2018.
Oh my, okay.
So some of them been through the ringer, and they're about at the end of their serviceable life. So
Do we replace it? Are they on a rotation replacement
yeah,
schedule?
every time we get a new ambulance in, we get a new cot and power load with it.
Okay.
So I guess this is gonna be the next generation of cot, but we're gonna go ahead and stay with the current generation of cot that we have.
Yes, for this one.
So I guess my question is why not start our upgrade process sooner rather than later? Are we
Well,
gonna have
I just-
serviceability on the batteries that we get with this?
Yeah, we'll still be able to get parts and batteries for it, for the older style, but I guess I didn't know they were moving to a new cot, a new model of cot, so I really didn't have it built in my budget. And they are a little bit more expensive, and like I said, I think it'll give me some time to look at it and to build that in there if I need to.
Okay. So we're gonna replace these cots as we go with ambulances? Is that including when we do a re-chassis or something? So we'll update at that time?
Yes, I would like to.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I have no further questions. Okay.
Okay, I'll move to approve PO 7910 in the amount of $54,504.21 to purchase 1 Stryker Power Pro cot and 1 Stryker Power Load.
I'll second that.
Now we got a motion and a second on the table. Any further discussion for Danita? Questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you, Danita.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike, can you put the stuff up on the board so that people can see?
You mean that?
No?
Which,
Just like keep scrolling, and it'll take you.
I've got a discussion on road vacation.
There you go.
Brandon Mackey.
Morning, Commissioners. Brendan
Morning.
McKay, Ellis County Public Works Director. So, past month, I've been reached out by an individual that lives in Catherine about potential vacation of St. Jacob Street in Catherine. There's also St. Jacob Street in Piper that we've previously vacated. This is a different road and a different town site plat. It was never built, never constructed. The individual owns 2 tracts in Block 10. He's wanting to put a home on it. And in order to do that, he'll have to run his utilities across and potentially put a septic system in the right-of-way of St. Jacob Street that has not been built. So the request is to vacate that portion of St. Jacob Street in Block 10 of Catherine.
Hey, Mike, page 54.
Thank you.
There we go. Now if you can put the map up there.
Sorry,
So-
Brendan, go ahead.
That portion of St. Jacob Street is actually, extends from the county, south side of the county's fire station all the way to Catherine Road itself. So you can see, pardon me walking around here,
Go ahead.
there's this area right in there, that is St. Jacob Street, from the original plat of Catherine site. Nothing, no road has been built there, there's structures on it, trees. There really is no benefit to the county to keep that right away there, especially where he's wanting to build. So the request that I'm bringing forward, if you approve, we'll move forward on, is to vacate this portion right from here, Catherine Street, down to St. Joseph Street. The landowner that owns both of the abutting properties is requesting that vacation.
And we're not going to vacate the rest of the right-of-way?
Not as of yet. There's
Okay.
been no request for the other ones. And as part of the vacation, you need to send out certified mail to every adjoining landowner.
Okay.
There's not been a road there for,
Ever?
yes, nearly 100 years.
Okay.
We can do that now. It's part of this, and I can get, but I will have to push this meeting, the road hearing back in order to locate addresses for all those individuals.
Okay.
Because we have to send certified mail to them, and they have up to a year to file for any damages that the loss that the road would cause. There shouldn't be any loss because there was never a road there to begin with.
Got it.
I can let Jeter explain more if you have questions on the legalities of it.
I guess this is a question for county council. Is there any, I don't know how to phrase this, is there any concern of us as a county having right-of-way, existing right-of-way without having any development on it or any plans for development on it?
County Councilor Bill Jeter, I can't think of any.
Okay.
I mean, this is not unusual. We've got this situation in various places around the county, and we've gone through this process numerous times.
Do we have any?
We don't go out and look for right-of-ways to vacate. It's usually
We have a
an
list.
adjoining landowner that comes to us, and the easiest process is for the commission to do it on its own motion, which is what we're doing here, as opposed to the landowner filing a petition to vacate.
Okay. Are there
So,
any-
so if it's a roadway that's never been constructed, we don't ever intend to construct it, there isn't any reason why we should not, probably should vacate it.
Okay. Is there any liabilities that are associated with right-of-ways that are existing? Like-
Well, there could be, because, I mean, it's a right-of-way that the county would have, that we would be potentially dissolving ourselves of some liability if in fact we did vacate it.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
Because the road, once we vacate it, then the ownership of that right-of-way would go to the owners on either side of it, to the middle of the right-of-way. And in this case, because it's the same owner, then we're vacating it to that owner. And also, as Brendan mentioned, it provides easier notification because statutorily, we have to notify all of the owners of property on either side of and adjacent to the right-of-way. So here it's just one person.
Okay. Very good.
Makes it easier, one person.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for your
So,
time.
so I think and Brandon and I and Darren had visited about this. What we're here today is to get a consensus from the commission that they would be willing to vacate that right-of-way. So we'll go ahead and, if that's the case, have Bobby publish notice of the vacation, which we've done before, and set it for a agenda item down the road. And then at that time, you can make a decision whether to vacate it or not. But if there's feelings among the commissioners that you do not want to vacate it, then there isn't any point in going through that process. Because again, this process is on the commission's own motion, not by petition from a landowner.
Okay.
Okay.
I am good with proceeding with going forward with the vacation.
I
of this.
I also support it, especially he owns both sides, so,
All right, thank you very much.
okay.
We'll start the process on our end.
Okay, excavator purchase.
Yes, sir.
Brennan.
So as the commission members, about 2 weeks ago, I brought forward a few different options for excavators for the county public works divisions in noxious weed. We tabled that for 2 weeks, come back with other options that were in the budgeted amount. So attached are 2 options, the new machine to show new purchase price, and then 2 machines, one with the CSA and CVA taken off, one with the warranty and the CVA, CSA taken off. So the CSA, CVA, customer service agreement, customer value agreement, that is the filters for the life of the machine, the fluid samples. There's a lot of information that we get out of that. You get a credit if parts are, there's common parts that they have to stock, and if they're not to our office within a certain time frame, they give us a credit to use on future parts for any machinery. And then if you have the CVA with the fluid sampling to show of any potential, the fluid samples show us if there's going to be a big repair coming in the future, because we'll see higher iron deposits in the oil, or if there's water in the oils, we know we have a leak somewhere where moisture's getting into the hydraulic system or the engine. You keep this CAT certified machinery tag on it, so when you go to sell it, you, in the past, have seen higher resale values keeping that. But both options come in under the $185,000 budgeted amount. The difference is between this one and the one that was presented 2 weeks ago is that this one does not have the quick coupler, and it does not have, it's got more hours on it. And then the CVA, CSA is removed from the option that we would recommend going with. Because for $6,700, for having 5 years and 4,000 hours of potential costs being covered for breakdowns of machinery, that is well worth it in my opinion, because those repairs can add up quick and service calls can add up quite quickly.
Mhm.
Is there any questions on that, concerns?
Well, I appreciate you going back and finding different options to
Yeah.
get us back in within what we had initially set out for. So thank you for that.
The quick coupler would be something that would be very beneficial to my staff to change out, but that's something that can be added down the line if budget allows.
Mhm.
It does have the plumbing, which is the big concern that for us. That's a major cost item to have the plumbing run down to the end of the stick.
Mhm.
So then the only difference would be purchasing just the quick coupler itself and then 2.5 feet pieces of hydraulic hose to connect to it. And it does have a thumb, which our wheeled excavator does not, which is something that we also have found a great need in for cleaning up debris and cleaning up culverts and trash that gets dumped in the right of way or finds its way there.
Mhm.
What's the additional cost on the quick coupler? Any idea? Just,
I've been able to find used ones for under $5,000 in the past. The big charge for a quick coupler system is the hydraulic lines, running additional valves from the pumps, or additional pumps in that case, and then the plumbing all the way down the boom and the stick.
But this is already set up.
It has all the plumbing for it and the pumps and the valves. It just is missing the quick coupler.
Okay.
And this has what's called Cat B linkage. So the Cat B linkage generally starts at the 320 size excavator and goes to 325. Our 318 is a late enough model that it actually still carries the Cat B linkage, not the 315 linkage. So all of our attachments will work with this machinery.
Okay.
When comparing different models from the same size, the same weight and class, the John Deere quick coupler, there's a 1-inch increase width for the minimum attachment size. So if we went with a John Deere, all of our buckets and attachments would need new eyes welded to them. A Komatsu, it runs on 70 millimeter pins or 2.76 pins, and the Cat 320 and our wheeled 318 run on 80 millimeter pins. So if we went with a Komatsu, we would have to get pins and different ears for all the attachments. You wouldn't be able to swap between the equipments. And the Volvo is the same way as the John Deere is, with 1-inch wider interface. So we would have to change out the ears. The pins are the same size, we would just need longer pins. And at Saney, from all that we've been able to find, a Saney machine is the same B linkage style as a Caterpillar.
Got it. What else attachments do we have that we would switch between?
We have a grapple, we have a tree shear, we have a few different buckets, smooth buckets for ditches, rock buckets, and then a rotating pivot head for being able to turn different angles, not just digging straight in or straight out.
Okay,
Well, we can't dig straight out without a quick coupler.
right.
Buckets aren't set up that way.
Do we also have a wheel compactor with that?
We have a plate compactor
Okay.
that can go on that too.
Okay. And I'm gonna ask again, this is front end to back end as far as the warranty on it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Anything, Michael?
No. So the 184 includes the,
A 5-year, 4,000 hour
Warranty.
warranty.
Okay.
The one for 178 is without any warranty on the machine.
and then we're splitting it between two departments still. We've got
Yes, sir.
110s going towards
Noxious weed.
noxious weed, and the remainder,
Yes.
74,000 is,
We felt it was better than buying a second mini excavator that would not have as much uses,
okay.
to combine funds and purchase a full-size excavator to free up the other machines for the noxious weed division to be able to regularly use. And not having a track machine has been a big deficit of us. We've had to rent one quite frequently in the past for our culvert installs and for cleaning storm debris and things like that.
What is the reach on that, Brandon? Do you
It
recall?
has just over 22-foot dig depth.
Okay.
Is there a second one in here? What's the 270?
The 270 is a brand-new
Brand
machine with
new,
a 7-year, 5,500 hour warranty with Premier and travel and everything, and the CVA, CSA as well.
Now, was that brand-new machine, the way it was presented, was that?
That was a brand-new machine with quick coupler, everything.
But was that a straight purchase, or was that a lease purchase like we have on everything else?
It was a straight purchase price, but they did have the option for a lease purchase price in there to split the cost out over a number of years. We're recommending going with the used option.
Mm-hmm.
There's no financing with that, right? We're not,
No, we would pay out the full amount.
I have no further questions, so I guess,
I don't either. I guess we've hit what,
okay.
to me, we've gotten what we asked you to do.
Right. I will move to approve PO 7911 for the purchase of a 2021 320 GC excavator from Foley Equipment.
I'll second that.
Okay, got a motion and a second on the
And
table.
I guess I probably need to specify for the 184, that comes with the 5-year warranty. Because we have multiple options presented.
Yes. So we got a motion with amendment for the 184, the extended warranty, and a second. Any other questions, discussion from Brendan?
I just appreciate you going back again and, yeah.
Working through it. So with the coupler potential, would that be something you look to maybe put in for this year or wait till
Potentially at
budget
the end
next
of the
year?
year,
Yeah,
if we have leftover funds remaining in the operating budget.
okay,
And we'll keep an eye out, and if there's one, a used one, it's around $5,000.
okay.
A newer one is $10,000 to $15,000, so we'll keep an eye out on a used one.
Is that for safety, or explain a little bit
The
on the
quick coupler,
coupler?
it
what
is for safety for the employees as well, because right now to change out attachments, you have to make sure your bucket is level and your machine is level, and then you have to pound out 30-pound pins, two 30-pound pins, and then move them back over, reposition your machine on level ground with the bucket or attachment on level ground, and then re-drive pins in. The quick coupler, you would buy pins and leave them on the attachments. Then you walk the machine up to it, and even if it's a little bit off level, the hydraulics will pull the pins in. It's called a pin grabber. Basically, two arms come in and hook the pins. So you don't have people on the ground trying to beat pins out and catch pins. You don't have people on the ground potentially next to traffic trying to align equipment in buckets and then drive pins in.
Okay,
So it makes it faster to change out, because on projects, we generally need more than one option when we're doing culvert installs or ditch cleaning
yeah.
or tree trimming.
I think that'd be something to look
Yeah.
for and throughout the year and find something and get it in there, so.
It is, they're very beneficial. It's a one-person
It
unhook.
takes a three-person job down to, or minimum of two-person job, ideally people, two on the ground, one in the cab, to a one-person single operation.
Okay. We got a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Brandon, I'll have you stay and
Sure.
kind of introduce the next topic here a little bit. Rural subdevelopment conversation. Got citizens here from the county to talk a little bit about subdevelopment road needs and projects and potential of what we can work throughout over the next couple of years to try to figure out a working relationship to kind of improve the subdivisions, and that's specifically. So Brandon, I guess I'll have you kind of start with, I'd like to just start with kind of a definition of what, if we have a definition for what the county defines as kind of subdivision, when we're platting and grading, what do we define what that is? And then I think there's some maps in there to kind of show what we have identified already as subdivisions.
So I believe the county's definition of a rural subdivision is a plat with 8 or more homes by the planning and zoning regulations. In the past, it was 2 or more parcels. So we have a lot of areas like the Liker addition. That's not a platted development. That was lot splits. There's no development or plat there. They're just, all those lots are split out there north of the old county shop, north of Victoria Road. So there's a lot of plats out there, but there's not necessarily new public roads that are created with those. Some of them are built along existing county right-of-ways. Like the plats there off of Old 40 Highway close to Victoria, there's 6 lots that are split out, no homes or structures built. There'd be no additional roadways for those 6 lots. If that makes
71.
So what we're seeing is we're seeing some areas where,
there was additional roads created.
but there is nothing ever officially done.
Correct. They're built and maintained as constructed.
So we're gonna be we get to deal with subdivisions that are platted and have gone through a process on one side of the equation.
Yes.
And we're also fixing things that have divided out over the years and developed over the years just naturally,
Yes.
that are not currently on the public books as a division.
Correct.
Okay.
And some of these plats and developments were actually, they were approved because they were in the ETJ by the city. The city doesn't accept or maintain them because they're not in city limits. So it defaulted back to the county to maintain and
Okay.
build, in some cases, these roadways. There's also our rural town sites. You have Antonino, Munger, Pfeiffer, Catherine. Technically, Yosemite, there's one lot out there, but there's no additional roadways. Niche as well, but that was all built off. The existing roads are still on Yosemite, so those additional roads have been vacated, and then Walker,
Okay,
where Walker was vacated, but the second addition to Walker is still what is actively known as Walker. There is still a few roads from the original town site of Walker, from the 1880s, I believe it was.
let's see. Okay, and that's kind of leading towards some of the conversation we just had with the road in Catherine is, we've got roads,
Correct.
we've got divisions, but there may or may not be actually anything there.
And I didn't look at the agenda. Mike, was the rural road or rural plats attachment on there? Darren, it was sent to the three commissioners?
You don't know
Yes.
that they were,
Scroll clear down.
Okay, yeah, they
Page
are down.
80.
It's clear down, yep.
So we have 14.
So and these were just the ones originally created for, if we were making the 13th territory, just take care of rural subdivisions. So this was all of the rural subdivisions that have additional miles of roadway that is county maintained. So there's a lot of developments out there that don't have additional miles of road as well. And as you can see right there with the Big Creek area, there's a long list of developments right there. People know that as Reservation Road or Big Creek. It's about 12 different developments. The George Phillip, Buffalo Hills, Big Creek 2, Sunside, 4U's redevelopment of a plat. So they're not all split out individually because they're all kind of combined together.
So keep going, Mike. So like on the next one, airlift,
Air flight
air flight to, it's probably to the east there.
to the
It's
west.
platted out.
Correct.
Yeah, west.
So that was the air
But
flight
there's
number
no
2
roads
addition.
there, right?
There is one now.
There is.
Okay.
That is privately maintained
Okay.
And that was built to our specs, correct?
at the time, yes. But it's
But-
still privately, under private maintenance.
Sure.
Just like Blue Sky is off of,
So where the
Bond
red
elevation.
lines are, that's where county's
so the red lines
responsible?
are all the parcels in the area between the red lines, so. Over here, like, this is a road there that was never built. This is half of a right of way, there's only 30 feet there that was never built, because it doesn't meet the minimum requirements of a 60-foot right of way for county roadway. There's a road there that was never built as well. And then this was a road there that was never built, and then air flight number 2 came on and redeveloped this area, replatted it. So there's a count of public miles on that list, and a count of not built, potentially public miles,
Potential. So if they would. if it-
alleys and things like that that we don't maintain. Because they're for public use, for running public utilities or access, but they're not a county roadway or publicly maintained roadway. Because by statute, a public road, since the 70s, is required to have 60 feet of right-of-way or more. That doesn't mean all of our roads are 60 feet of right-of-way. Earlier plats and section line roads were originally created with 30 or 40 feet of right-of-way, 30 feet, and then expanded up to 40 feet. And then over time, some of those roads have been, additional right-of-way has been acquired to improve the road to a higher standard as well.
So currently, can you describe what our current standard operation or standard of care for these roads is?
Correct. So in the developments where it's a rock road, we maintain it as a rock road, fly rock when it gets bare in spots, and overlay the road over time as it needs it. If it's a sand road, the road's maintained like a sand road. When it gets run bare, sand is added, road's reshaped and crowned. We do get a lot of pushback when we go to pull shoulders in those developments to reshape the roadway, because Commissioner's aware, if you ever played with sand when you were growing up, built a sand castle, you can't do that without moisture. Sand won't stay together. Well, we don't always have the moisture, so we have, the ideal situation for a unpaved road is to have 20 to 25% binder material, whether that's dirt, clays, soils, or in some cases our rock. That's what makes that road stay in its shape to prevent washboards. Because when you only have loose material with nothing to hold it together, over time, the wind or traffic will create washboards, and those washboards will continue to grow. So we maintain those roads usually more than our county sand roads just because of the number of traffic on them. But sand roads are very inexpensive to build from the get-go. And the developers usually are purchasing sand from a commercial producer, whereas the sand from the county sand pits has some of the clays and the binders, and we reincorporate the shoulder material and the soils nearby to shape the roadway and build it. These roads were shaped with the dirt and then covered with sand without any binder. So that sand has no way to stay and hold its shape. Because sand roads look great when they're first built. A good county sand road does not look like a good road to most people because it looks dirty. But it has the binder to hold its shape and prevent washboards and tracking. That makes sense to the
Yep. And you said traffic count increased traffic load. Do we currently do any counts on these roads?
We have done some counts in the past on some of these roads in particular.
Okay.
To a road, if it's a sand road and it stays sand, our maintenance is to maintain it as a sand road. But if we were to improve it from a sand to, say, a rock, once it's improved, now it needs to be maintained at
At the
that
rock
level.
road, yes.
And if it's a rock road and we go to pavement,
Correct.
then it needs to be maintained as.
And most developments aren't rock simply because the commercial builder on it, they may not have access to rock for the roads, or they're not gonna spend the amount to buy a purpose crushed stone for that. They don't have access to the materials that we do as regularly, and then it's also potentially dustier. So most of the developments are built with sand roads because it's inexpensive, it's fast, and it's cheap. And it looks good until you start getting traffic on it.
Yes, my question is, in some of these little subdivisions, which are quite a few, and this might be a Mr. Bill question, do we have to notify them when we go back in there and start pulling ditches? Because you know
Yeah.
where I'm getting at.
Yep, we
that-
don't have to notify
Okay.
them. We do reach out to them, and that's when the three of you will have received calls in the past. I know, Neil, you received a call when we
Yeah.
did that work to the road right behind the old county shop, that we just destroyed the individual's front lawns all the way up to their house. All we did was work within the right-of-way to reshape the roadway, because we had gotten a request from the bus barn, because they were getting buses stuck. And it was something we needed to do.
And so as far as, just say that, take that one for an example, there's no rhyme or reason that we can't go haul rock no bigger than that is. We haul chip seal from, a long ways away. Is that a possibility to make a better
To chip seal the
road?
road,
No. To haul rock to
we
fix
can
them.
put rock on them,
Okay.
yes.
Because I know it's not available. It's
Correct.
a long ways away, but,
The issue that my department faces, or the departments I'm oversee for experience, is that there's a lot of these rural developments. Which one do we start at? Which priority? Do we go by the oldest established? Do we go by the one that's complained the most? And there's also, in some of these developments, because people do not want us going off of the road, the top of the road, they've installed reflectors, 2x4s, rebar. We can very easily take that out, but without the support of the commissioners, I'm not gonna subject my staff to that. Because I know if we do that, well, you will receive calls, and my office will receive calls. In the past, we haven't felt supported to do that sort of work.
Would you suggest that that's why, I mean, you made the point, I believe it's on Buffalo, that you went in, you had to make some repairs and pull shoulders. It's something that you needed to do
Regularly
as a
done.
department. But until the bus barn complained, and we had enough complaints that nothing got done. Is that because of some of the pushback received in the past?
Yes.
Is
Those
that
pushbacks
because some
we
of the
received.
attitudes that we have from operators, from,
No, that was a
You know,
pushback
fro-
from the individuals calling my office.
okay,
And it was already on our list to do. We had that real heavy winter, heavy frost, freeze thaw, expanding the material, making it a slippery mess back there. And the way to fix that is to reshape it in, like we're doing on Victoria Road, east of Cathedral, about a mile and a half east. We're pulling the shoulders along that whole stretch. There are a few homes on there. But that's what's regularly done to maintain a county roadway that's unsurfaced. You need to incorporate that shoulder back into the roadway number one, for binder, and number two, so it can retain its crown shape. So the water can be diverted off the roadway. But when you have grass all the way up to the edge of the roadway and no way for it to get off, because we can't clip the edge, that then soaks into the base of the road, and it becomes a sloppy mess.
So Brendan, we've got these problems, similar problems that are facing these rural developments out out throughout the entire county. And this is kind of been a growing problem over the years. I mean, we have double ditches in a lot of different areas.
Yes.
We have allowed some of the roads to get into this particular condition.
Yes.
So, I guess, I think what we're gonna explore with, some comments from our people is maybe looking at possibly a new way to go forward.
Yeah.
So maybe we can prevent some of this or curb some of these things. Sorry, I don't mean to step
No,
on
no, no.
anybody.
Comments are good.
So,
So, yeah, I think, I'll go along with that is, you know, how to help you, hopefully, you know, where do we start? What division do we go to? Is it the oldest? Is it the loudest complainers or so? So in front of us, Commissioners, is kind of a little bit, so I'm gonna call Ty up. He can make some comments, but in front of us, we have a rural communities infrastructure that Ty and his, through his conversations with his neighborhood and others, have kind of put together a template of just some thoughts on how do we go about these subdivisions potentially and do improvements. So state your name and.
Yep. Ty Wilson, Stonewood North. Almost don't have to be up here. Brendan pretty much made my case for me, but it's okay. Don't grade me on punctuality. I'm good at getting in front of you guys. I don't create PowerPoints. The whole point of me being here today is because I had to be here one time before with, and as you know, we've had communication in the past. Patience levels and anger levels weren't matching very well. Things, correspondence, etc. So we got in front of you and we started to go, something's gonna have to change before temperatures completely boil over. Brendan got on board, stepped up. He is definitely a stand-up guy, took care of us. In the process of doing all of that, it came to the occurrence of a lot of us that there has to be a better way forward, right? So that's kind of what this is about today. How do you pick which community needs the most? How do you even go about getting it done? We're gonna create a program, an agenda. We're gonna do something. Why is the need? We gotta come up with a better standard, not the old stopgap or the, I'm gonna call it, instead of being proactive, being reactive, and we're only fixing what we gotta fix to get us through, right? It's gonna provide us a much better pathward forward to create a standard and a baseline so everybody's on the same page. It's gonna also help Brendan take care of some deficiencies and things we're dealing with to get us in a better shape countywide. How do I know this? I went out and talked to several people. I got information from Suburban Estates, Liker Edition, Limestone Acres, Big Creek, Stonewood, even went to Munger. Even though it's considered a town, it's a rural community, it's unincorporated, right? Some of the common concerns were, why do I have to call for a grader? Or what is the actual grading schedule? Or what is it taking to get this done? If we were looking at the past commission, they'd be up here going, why do you keep throwing the same argument in front of me until I throw my hands in the air? You guys made a good change when you turned the corner, so that's why we're gonna keep pushing you forward to keep progressive things moving in the right way. Help eliminate a bunch of communication issues. The solution's pretty simple, guys. All you gotta do is create a program, an agenda, you call it whatever you want. I gave you a perfect option when I put it right at the top of this by relating it to infrastructure, because that opens the door to all kinds of funding and avenues to help get the program in place. Now, it's gonna take a lot. Bill, you're gonna get called a lot on this to make sure that both the commission and the people involved don't get in harm's way legally with each other, to make sure we're all on the same page. It's gonna take a lot of time to develop some language. We're gonna have to discuss some timelines as to what we have to do to keep it moving forward. The positive outcomes is we're all gonna get better communication out of it. We're gonna create some checks and balances When I say checks and balances, I'm saying like if you had a program and every 30 days that issue comes back to the topic, that's not a way for me to throw Brendan under the bus. That is not what any of this is about. It's just a way for everyone to stay on the same page, and for people in an addition that have issues with their road or drainage or whatever, to be able to go, hey, did my voice get lost? So it will help. Is it going to cost more? Of course, it's gonna cost us more. But if we keep kicking the proverbial can down the road, pretty soon it'll be the size of a dump truck, and none of us will be able to get in front of it and stop it. So the whole point of this is to try to create a better pathway forward. I just made this little short presentation because today I'm trying to just publicly open the door to get it on the books for all of us to have an open communication. Anybody wants to come up and talk? Have them come up and talk. Let's just figure it out. The idea behind it is just to create a better pathway forward. Are we capable? Sure we are. I think you guys took that proverbial rubber stamp from the budget system and you threw it in a trash can. That's what you did the last time. Wasn't fun, wasn't easy. But if we don't choose to do something, nothing will happen. So I'm going to ask you to stop kicking the proverbial can down the road, regardless of how big it is. And if us as a community have to help you, we'll jump in and help you. But something has to happen. We got to create a better way forward. There's some pics that some people sent me of areas in their additions that they were concerned about. They wanted me to bring to your attention. I have a couple of pics that I threw in there of ours. Other than that, we're just open for thoughts and feedback. See that picture right there? That's kind of one of them that started it. That was after it was graded. Yes, after it was graded. I had some people in my addition about lost things off the bottom of their car. That very morning, I sent a text to Mr. Burgess saying, I know we're capable of better. He stepped right to the occasion. Mid-afternoon, I had both him and Brendan standing in my driveway. Yes, that's my house. That's where I live. If anybody'd like to know, I'm pretty easy to find. Okay? Now, even with all that taking place, because the wheels of change move very slow, especially in government, it took us probably 6 months. What do you know? He's quite capable. It rains, it snows, it does whatever. We're fighting some hard washboards, but we don't have a problem. We get in and out, we go where we need to go. This came to a picture that came to me from an individual in Limestone Acres. I don't live in that addition, so I can't give you a whole lot of feedback. And she said, the picture doesn't do it justice. Ask that please, commissioners, go out there and just drive that corner. You'll find out how rough it bounces them right around the corner because the moisture holds there so bad it won't ever get off the road. That is, I think I labeled it for you to try to help you out what it is. That is the south curve entrance is what she stated it to me as. And then there's another one that's, I think, another part of the south curve entrance has something to do with the angle or the assessment angle of how it comes into their addition. It's causing them a lot of issues. I believe you guys are up for a drive in the future. Maybe you'll better be able to put your eyes on it, see what it is. This one I was specifically asked, that's Liker addition. Anybody who lives in those houses, because that is the west entrance to that addition, any kind of weather, they don't even get to a side road to go clear to the east end to get out because that road is technically below the ditch line. It holds all the water. I'm just pointing out a couple pictures. There's just another one I took up forward. You can easily see how much lower the road is. Like I said, today is not about trying to create any kind of intensity between anybody. It's about opening the door to go, we got to come up with a better way. And it's going to take a nod from you guys. It's going to take a lot of extra work from Brendan. Sorry, but it is. He's quite capable. I have faith in him to try to get in front of these things and try to get it where everyone has a pathway forward. If we can create a program or an agenda, you just asked him, how do we decide who gets on there? We'll go out to your neighbors and get a petition. If you got a big enough problem, bring it forth. Maybe it can be introduced to Darren. Darren puts it before the commission, and Brendan, there you go. It's on the books. Is the way it currently is, I mean, I probably could have got enough people to fill your room, but these meetings are scheduled at Tuesday at 8:30 in the morning, and a lot of people are like, I really do need my pay income as much as I'd like to come and talk. I'm just fortunate enough I can be a voice for a lot of the community because I can push my schedule around if I need to get up here and talk to you guys and see what we can do about this. So any thoughts or feedback, open it up, see what we want to do.
I'll start it a little bit. One thing that hinders a lot of commissions and things is we cannot impose something on future commissions. Is that correct? So I guess my question would be, if we were to develop some language as a program or something to where people would have an avenue to go, that would maybe supersede commissions or supersede public works, where people would have that working relationship, working document. Is there something out there like that we could get to, Bill? I'd kind of defer that to you.
Bill Jeter, County Councilor. You know, I've given quite a bit of thought to this, and there's two things that come into play from a legal perspective. One is the degree of maintenance or improvements to any county road is discretionary with the county commissioners. And secondly, as Nathan just stated, you cannot bind future commissions. I've been doing this county councilor stuff since 1986, and my personal opinion, not a legal opinion, is that I think it would be important for this commission to establish a program, to establish some kind of degree of maintenance that you want in these subdivisions, and to maintain that maintenance to the satisfaction of all the subdivision owners, and also subject to the budgetary requirements and limitations that the commission has. Keeping in mind that going forward, a future commission, which could even be this commission, could change that program or even remove it. But once that program is in place, it's going to be more difficult for a future commission to change it. It's a lot easier when there's no program to not do anything than to have a program and decide we're going to do away with it. So I think even with the understanding that it could be amended, deleted in the future by another commission, I think it's important to do a program now that meets the requirements and satisfaction of those homeowners and is within the budgetary limitations that the county commission has.
I think that's fair.
You know, the only other thing to do would be to say, well, I'm sorry, we understand the concerns, we're just going to have to do it on a case-by-case basis going forward, and we're not going to change anything we're already doing. And my personal opinion is that's not the answer. I think you've got a group of willing homeowners, and you've got 3 county commissioners who understand their concerns, and I think there's the potential of putting a program together that would work going forward.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a quick question, Bill. Let's just say, and I'm just going to use this, okay? We came back here, 7, 8 years ago and asked about creating a better improvement just to get rid of whatever took place that got us in that bad a shape. And we were given the stopgap, I'm sorry, we can't, blah, blah. If you were going through a program, this program ties quite well with the whole idea of you created the 13th district, is not necessarily to cater to these, but to try to open up another avenue to get on top of some of these issues. If in that program you decided you wanted to go into a cost share with the commission, as long as that is a legal binding agreement that is held forth to if one of these gentlemen is not in that seat, correct? I'm just going to say, for instance, say a program's created, and we go for the year 2028 to create a better top improvement to our roads in our division, and this commission says, yep, we can do it. One of these guys isn't here to hold their end of the bargain and go, yeah, we agreed to it, we help you. In 2028, now we have a problem. But if you were in a legal contract stated by this group of commission, is the next group of commission at least required to honor that contract?
Well, my opinion off the top of my head is, counties operate under the cash basis law. And that's a budget that goes year to year. And this commission cannot dedicate future money to a road project that goes beyond the current or the next budget year. So even if there was a contract presented which required the commission to allocate X amount of dollars toward subdivision road maintenance and improvements, which is in the form of an agreement, I think what you're talking about with the homeowners, if it went beyond the current budget year, it would not be enforceable. In my
Okay, but-
opinion, I would tell a commission not to sign it. You can't do that.
Okay, but I'm gonna put it in retrospect. If you plan far enough forward, as these guys are doing, 3, 5, 7 years out, to try to get these improvements in place, if this commission put in place to have X amount of dollars set back before their commission ran out, and you did a cost share with a community, they set forth their money, then that contract and that financial agreement would have been met. Is that correct?
Yeah, you could do that on a year-to-year basis.
Okay, I mean, I'm just trying to keep the pathway open and to make sure everyone's on the same page. That's why this,
And-
whatever we all work together, it's unfortunately gonna take up
Yeah,
some of your
and,
time.
you know, as part of the budget process, the commission every year could allocate X number of dollars to go to subdivision
Correct.
road maintenance and improvements. But that's only on an annual basis every time they approve the budget in August or September for the next budget year. So they can't extend it out beyond that.
We can't obligate the dollars, but in our budget process, I mean, currently we have a 13-year road project that we've outlined.
Well, exactly, you could, and that was
But
to
we
my
don't,
point
yeah.
earlier, is that would be your program that'd be in place.
Yeah.
We're gonna put X amount of dollars into subdivision
Mm-hmm.
road maintenance and repairs every year. And it would be up to a future commission to decide we're not gonna do that
Fund it or-
anymore.
Or actually fund it or not. But
Right.
You can't have a forward-looking plan like we have tried to put together.
Sure.
Where we believe we're
With
gonna
the-
allocate this much and that based on budget. Now, when we get to that
As
budget
long as that
year,
money's earmarked into that subcategory,
and as long
correct?
as
That's
the
right.
budget's there,
That's what I'm getting at.
But
so
you
that-
couldn't extend the allocation of
correct,
that
but-
money beyond the next budget
But we
year.
could stop I'm gonna say future, and don't even think about leaving, guys. Future commission from going, I'm taking the money out of this piggy bank over to here. You can't
Right.
do that because they allocated it to there.
And
No
that
different
was
than
to
when
my-
they give Brendan his say-so, this is your budget. They don't always get to say what he spent it on. It is in his best interest to do what's best for the
That
community.
goes to the personal opinion I stated earlier,
Sure.
that it's a lot easier to not fund something than to take something away that's already in a
And-
program.
And that's the problem with, I'm just gonna say the past standard. If we
Mm-hmm.
do nothing, we don't have to do nothing. We started with a kick in a coffee can, and now it's the size of a dump truck, and I just wanna help you tear the front wheel off of it to slow it down.
With that being said, would we be would it be in our best interest as a commission to set up a completely separate program? So if we go to apply for, let's say Brendan does a great job applying for a number of different grants. Brendan, you may step up here with this too and ask this question. If we were to set something up, would it help us to try and help build or fulfill some of this with a completely separate program or entity for our rural subdevelopments? To keep it out of the full scope of the public
Yeah.
works and road and bridge system?
Brendan McKay, Ellis County Public Works Director. You can do that. A lot of the grants that we apply for and get are not eligible for state or federal grants because they have to meet certain criteria, usually being FAS roads, the federal aid secondary roads. None of the development roads are FAS roads because by definition, they're supposed to connect communities to communities, not within a community per se. And for most of the case, like the improvements we did to Stonewood North, the monetary cost was, for the most part, minimal. The additional rock. The biggest component for us that my staff would face is that took 2 weeks away that's 2 miles of county-maintained rock roads that, actually a little more than 2, that weren't able to be elevated this winter. So if we try and do them all at once, there's not gonna be major maintenance to the county rock roads or the sand roads. So it'd be, mainly it's just the support, like, their group came out, they reached consensus. They were gonna support us making a change to their road, and we were able to make a change. When we don't get that consensus from all the landowners, and Ty can attest to it too, not everyone in his development agreed with us doing the work that we did. We'll never make everyone happy. If it's sand road, we make it rock, it's now too dusty. If it's a rock road, we make it sand, now it's too washboardy. If it's paved road, Neil's been in my office before, he's heard someone complain that the color of the pavement, the patching we did in the development, was the wrong color. We can make improvements to all these roads, it's just the time and the resources to be able to do it. Which is adding that 13th position and adding the additional HEO allows us that extra person to do these improvements. And make improvements to these development roads as well as make improvements to county roads, the section line roads. So there's a lot of moving pieces with everything. Because at a certain time of the year, we're in asphalt mode, we don't, other than emergency patching and things like that, we're not out there adding material to those roadways. The blade operators may be running when there's moisture, but we're not taking the trucks off of the asphalt hauling in order to do that. Just like, so generally, fall to early spring is the time that we are reshaping roads completely, rebuilding roads, and resurfacing them. Because right now, I have trucks working on reshaping the Commerce from 270th and Vineyard, as well as bringing material in for the cold mix production. So it's a balancing game between the two to do that, plus the other big road projects we have coming this year. It's mainly we just want the support from the commissioners and from the homeowners in those developments.
He's making my case. The whole point is, you needed a consensus.
So,
I'm not kidding you, this would have, this kind of program, just like I had to come forth to you, and I literally went neighbor to neighbor, so I knew, got my butt chewed, whatever, but I knew who was on board and who wasn't, so I could tell you, you have our blessing or not. This kind of thing tells everybody right up front, do you have a blessing, or, I'm not calling anybody out, or is that just a single homeowner who's got a grind with you guys over, I don't like how my ditch turned out, or, you see what I'm saying? This lets you know that the entire community signed a petition or whatever, and they brought it forth to you through a program and agenda, call it whatever you want, guys, to let you know where you stand, and when you do make an improvement or a change, is it gonna come back to bite you, or does it truly help you get in front of the issues that are taking place?
Do you, so it does cost money though.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want to answer this, Ty, for everybody or how, but what you kind of think in a program like this, and Bill might chime in too. I'm going to use your addition up there. If we're able to create something like this where we're going to kind of dedicate more resources to it, but our budget is still finite, and we got a public works budget for the whole county, do you envision being able to take your homeowners association where they could essentially allocate dollars themselves to a matching program that the county can use those dollars, let's say 50,000 out of your homeowners, 50,000 out of ours, to be able to do an improvement?
Well, to answer that question, just so I don't state anything outside of the facts, that was one of the exact things we just talked about during our last HOA meeting. How we literally just gave back $50,000. And when my president of our HOA told you that in our first communication, and even then you shook your head like, anytime you can cost share, it's a win-win. But I originally made an agreement with the people in my community, who I respect greatly, that if I couldn't get something done in 5 years, it would dissolve. I would see that everybody got their money back. You guys walk into town and decide to change the rules for the better and start doing things in the right way. Now we're back to where we should have been 7, 8 years ago. I'm being honest with you, right? And we're all going, are you kidding me? So at our last HOA meeting, literally another member went, are you telling me we need to probably think about doing that again? So we put it on our agenda for our next meeting to see how many people are on board. I simply asked, if everyone here had a choice this evening, because we had enough for a quorum and proxy, how many people would say yes? Every hand but one went up. I won't say which that homeowner is, and I don't disagree with them not wanting to, because not everybody in the same, not everybody likes the idea that they got red chip on their drive. I'll bring my crayons. You pick whatever color you want, right? I'm not upset about that, okay? It's about everyone got a chance to have a voice, and sometimes me speaking for the communities or even speaking for my own community, that doesn't put me in a good place. I hear things that like, who do you think you are and what are you even trying to accomplish? You guys hear the same thing on that side of the aisle, right? Same, but you gotta work forward. So yes, I would say that I would be pretty confident that if I had to pull that to a vote tomorrow in my own HOA, they'd be going, are they honestly gonna hold to it? This is gonna come back to Bill, because it's already came to my attention. Are you gonna go through all this work? Are you gonna go through all this effort, spend all this time, ask all of us to go to these meetings, create a cost share program? One person up there changes and goes, no. Everyone just spent the last 3 or 4 years in smoke. That, guys, I'm not even gonna joke. That money will go towards something we don't even wanna try to go into, because you will have tempers so high for doing that. That's why we gotta go, like he said, this is a much better way forward to try to put something in place instead of just it's a handshake today and a no, it ain't tomorrow.
Right. And that's, yeah, a program like this would be, I think we'll certainly work through it and entertain it, but without money into it, from a county allocating it, and that's where, can a homeowners association also, I guess, cost share into a project within their subdivision?
Sure.
Is there-
Yeah.
Would a program, so then take that a step farther, your division is supportive of that, but can we hold other, like within the program, design that, well, we are going to do improvements within subdivisions, here's the program, but to be able to participate, you have to do a cost share and then hold other subdivisions that maybe aren't as open to doing a homeowners collection.
I don't know why you couldn't do that. I mean, it would be based upon each subdivision wanting to participate or not participate. And it's always discretionary with the commission on what type of maintenance or improvement you want to any county road.
Okay.
I mean, you could take all of your resources and put it into one subdivision and
Right.
pour concrete, if that's what you wanted to do.
I guess the question have for Brandon, since we've got some kind of a plan here, a start, your everyday maintenance on a road, just to help us 3 commissioners out for budgeting something. We get into a subdivision, now we've got X amount of culverts that need, or stuff that is done that we can set aside funding for these little subdivisions. What do we start budgeting for that? I mean, that's a tough question, but,
That one, it's very tough because it depends on the number of lots and the drainage that's already in there. We require a certain size culvert as a minimum. So a lot of these drainage structures are already technically oversized, because if we put any smaller in there, they would be silted shut in a matter of a few short years. So a lot of the drainage structures for entrances are oversized. With the old county road system, and we created a new plan here a few months ago to better address these issues. With the old one, there wasn't as strict of standards, so some of the older developments, their roadways they were poorly built to begin with, so they're gonna take more work to get up to the level of standard that the individuals are wanting now. The new roads, for new development, if they meet our county standards, they're gonna have a great road, and we're not gonna have this issue. But it took the commissioners accepting it. I know my predecessors before me, I found their document that he was working on back in 2007 and again in 2012, but no action was ever taken on those. Our old standard was just a drawing that showed a shape of a road. Didn't really get into the nitty-gritty or the details of how to construct that, compaction levels, types of materials. Now we have that. Doesn't mean that all of our own county roads meet that standard, because it's gonna be a great road, but it's something, if we build a brand new road in the future, I'm gonna hold my department accountable to meet that same standard. But like Bill was saying, with the cost share, there is the TIF out there, and that's how some of these developments have had improvements to their roadways.
I know, that, you led me right into the next question, I guess. Going with that, Bill, or do we need to have rural developments, can they apply for a TIF to do improvements that would, is that something, is that a road that, I mean, no pun intended, is that a road we want to go down with asking these places to do that? I mean, that would involve utilizing the clerk and the appraiser to allot this stuff and charge this stuff out.
Off the top of my head, I don't know, I can't answer that.
I'm gonna interrupt you right there, because I'm gonna bring forth something else that has been talked about. And the idea of this is to figure out how to make all of us have a choice, an option, and to, I'm gonna say, level the playing field. Is that fair? Me and Brennan get to talk on a regular basis, just like I know all you guys and where you live and all that. County road, for him to maintain, and I'm not gonna hold you to this is just numbers, I'm trying to help him out so you guys understand cost. It's like $7,500 per mile. That's if his guys get to go in a straight line, single pass up, single pass back. When that traffic count goes way up, take any addition. We had 250 in ours. I know as you can scroll through, you can look down at Big Creek, look at the number of homes, and actually that's, I don't remember, there's like 7 or 8 of them in additions, as he even stated, inside that little 1.5 mile loop. That traffic count is crazy high, because everyone has to take it to the end of Canterbury to get out onto Reservation Road. That traffic count goes way, way up. That cost associated for him is probably way over $7,500 a year per lane, and that's just to maintain a sand or gravel road. Now you take, I'll just use us as a perfect example, because I had to ask Brendan, how did you manage to get in there and fix our road? The answer was simple. Ty, I took somebody else's mile out of the equation because I had to help you. Now, while I think that is awesome of him, and I can't thank him enough for doing it, somebody else just got shafted. So the bottom line is his budget has to increase. He has to be able to come up with another, a district or whatever to start increasing. If you go back, I don't care, guys, take 20 years. 20 years ago, my addition wasn't there, Limestone Acres wasn't there. There's a lot of these additions that weren't there. Hays, Kansas has always maintained or had some level of growth. You can look inside the city, look at all the housing additions, look at all that that's taken place. But yet somehow, county budget, county employee through attrition or whatever. Now, I'm not saying that wasn't a good thing to try to keep everyone's taxes in check, but as we can all, regardless of where you're living, in the last 3 years, no one's taxes are in check, right? We've all seen this inflationary number come up and bite us. Now you have a lot of people going, if I'm going to put that kind of money down every year, I want to know where my money goes. Part of that is we got to figure out how to increase the maintenance, how to increase staffing. You know, I'm not for government overspending or any of that, but they always talk about how it doesn't matter whether you're on city, state, federal government, we need to reduce the cost of government spending. I agree with that. Because you can reduce it too much, and when you do that, you have no manpower to even maintain a standard, and look where it landed us, right? Leading into that, I'll go a little bit farther forward, and I'm sure Brendan can step up here and help me. I think it was it 1994 when Stonewood West, when they went in to the TIF program to have that asphalted? It was one of Mr. Claycamp, who's no longer with us, okay? That road is still in excellent shape today, and I just can't imagine it went all those years off the original TIF without being maintained and upgraded. The problem with this, not to throw those people under the bus, that came at a massive cost to the county, i.e. why they despised past commissions, past standard. You despise these little additions going in, because if you upgrade or do anything, what does it do? It increases your cost. And I would be willing to bet that there's probably not a single person still living in Stonewood West that even realizes they were on a TIF to begin with to get the road, or that they, out of all honesty, should have been in a cost share maintenance program so that the county didn't have to continue to eat that. Now granted, I also know that when that went into place, it was supposed to be absorbed by the city, and that fell through. Once again, that put the ball right back in the county's court to stay on top of. But I can go out to Deer Trail, which I just did last night, because I just wanted to know. That road used to have potholes in one in it, and I know someone's been out there that patched it, that fixed it, that re-chip and sealed it. Those homeowners probably never saw an additional cost. But that is a privately funded road. I believe Mr. Bickle probably paid it up front when that development was done and added it onto the cost of the lots. See what I'm saying? But the problem with that is that it's one thing to create a great road, but when you turn it over to the county, unless the county is willing to accept the additional maintenance to it, some kind of program's got to be put in place so that everybody stays on the same page. The problem with those two types of additions, the county saw those numbers and he immediately looked at all the rest of us and went, no, go away. Well, I don't want to get in fights with my neighbors, but goodness gracious, that's not the right way to work at this at all. That's why we're all here today.
Okay.
I guess out on their addition where you fixed that road for them, for us, was that, any of that stuff get GPS, like where the culverts are, what sizes? Because you brought up a good point, like in some of the divisions, you don't know how many culverts, what sizes. Is that being in process that you know of?
Not at this moment.
Okay.
We don't have staffing or technology
Okay.
to do that. I mean, that information could be put on the GIS network, but we don't, myself don't have access to that,
Okay.
to be able to implement that.
Is that something, Mike, that we can work into?
Mike Leiker, IT Director. We are looking at the possibility of adding GPS equipment to do some of that in the future. Of course, it comes down to funding, but
Understand.
yeah, the technology is available, so.
Okay. I just feel that's important for the future. You can look on a map and see what that is, and you're, no guesswork unless you drive out. So.
I'm gonna, Ty, you're a great speaker, but allow anybody else in the public, if they wanna chime in on the conversation a little bit. I know Ty's pretty much covered a lot of it, but certainly.
Sit down.
Chad Sproul with the Leiker addition. I know nothing about road maintenance, but the question I have is, over time, what does it cost to maintain a sand road or a rock road? I'm not saying I'm more important than anybody else as far as, of course, everybody wants asphalt. What, over time, what do you guys actually spend in, 5-year time maintaining a sand road or a rock road compared to an asphalt road? To where you guys just come out there when it snows and knock the snow off and you're done. I was just kind of curious about that.
If I can speak to that, Brenda McKay, Public Works Director.
Tough
Should've
question.
just sat down up front.
That's a tough question.
An unpaved county roadway, whether it's sand, rock, if it's just dirt and earthen road, you're $1,000 a year per mile to $2,500. For a sand or rock road, the lower maintenance ones, narrow right-of-ways, usually potentially have double ditches or drainage concerns that are basically just only used seasonally. Those ones are around $2,500 to $5,000. When you start getting into your FAS routes, your major routes, and these routes in these subdivisions, you're between $5,000, $7,500 to $8,000 per mile. We go to a paved road for budgeting numbers and for what we actually spend. On the minimum side, we're $10,000 or more per mile of roadway. So yes, we're out there more on these unpaved roads, but effectively it's costing the county less money to maintain those roadways than a paved road would be.
Brandon, for those that don't know the FSA, can you explain that?
FAS, yes. So federal aid secondary is the
Okay.
designation of roadways that connect communities to communities. So before US highway system was here, actually when that came apart and then interstate came apart, they asked communities to design and develop FAS routes. So these are roads that are going to be improved or held to a higher standard, be all-weather roads to connect areas population center to population center, so Old 40 Highway is an FAS route. 230th and Fairground roads now, where the Northwest Business Corridor is, those were not FAS routes. Those had to be made into FAS routes in order to be eligible for federal funding for that project. So the roads that are bigger with well-established ditches, 9 times out of 10, are FAS routes. But most people don't understand or see that, they just see a road.
Brendan,
What can I do?
your numbers on your maintenance, is that $10,000 per mile of paved road?
Yes, sir.
Is that annually that you're putting
No,
that
so
number,
those
or is that
costs
on a
will come
3?
in over time. So we're not spending
You're not setting aside $10,000
Correct.
per mile annually. It may be a 3-year or 4-year
and then
program.
it's $40,000 or $30,000 a cost for that mile.
Okay.
But averaged out, it's about $10,000 on the minimum side per mile. For even just a chip and seal road with a prime and double coat on it, which is not the best solution. That's how county roads were paved in the past. There's no asphalt strength. You're relying just on the subsoil strength. There's a lot of issues with that because you're dealing with Mother Nature. But even those roads were about $10,000 a mile on average to maintain every year. So you may not pay anything 1 year, but 3 years down the road, when it has an improvement or a maintenance, major maintenance, new seal coat, new overlay and seal coat, you're now $30,000 or $40,000. You went 3 years.
Okay.
So that's same thing with the sand roads. They may not see an over or rock road. They may not see it. Rock roads are about 15 years is what we get a life out of a pole lift on it. There's regular patching in there, but then the cost to build that roadway back up in 15 years is not $7,500. It's $100,000. But if you average that out per year cost for the regular maintenance, it comes down to that figure.
Okay. Thank you for the
So,
clarification.
Mr. Sproul, does that answer
Yeah.
kind of your and it
Yeah.
depends a lot on the moisture. So,
What you guys, curious, what you guys, because I was on it a couple times and I thought it was pretty good road, but from the south of Ellis at the county line, you know, from the bridge.
Smoky Hill?
Smoky to south to the county line.
Rush
What
County?
did they do there? Because I thought that was
here, he's right behind you.
I thought that was a,
Yeah,
Improvement.
that a little over 5 miles of roadway was failing asphalt. It was 12 plus inches thick. There was no base support underneath that because it was just the road was shaped and then they started putting oil to it. It was failing. It needed to be reconstructed in order to keep it up. So we added rock to the asphalt over the top and then milled it up. And that's basically a road base. That's similar to the process we did on Vineyard for the mile. We've already done in preparation of this project. And what we did to the Stonewood North Addition by milling the rock in with the sand, and what we're gonna be doing here, beginning in April to Catherine Road. It's just failed asphalt with rock being the glue to hold the sand together. Because that asphalt, when it breaks down, is loose particles, it's loose sand, nothing to hold its shape. So we added rock to act as a binder to glue it all back together.
gotcha.
But yeah, I'll agree, there's the serrated edges blades that we maintained it with after we finished the shaping of it. You can still see the striations in that road top, except for where we've reclaimed it again in some soft spots we found. Yeah, the
I-
average speed picked up over 10 miles an hour on that roadway, so it was already speeding, now it's really speeding.
I will add to that, at the Midland Marketing Annual Meeting, there was quite a few people come up to me and said that we've got decent roads, but we're tearing them up ourselves. Heavy equipment, semis, and no moisture, so it just takes that moisture to help work them and get on them right away, especially the rock ones.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chad. Anybody before Ty?
So I'm just gonna come back up, because I have just a couple more questions. He just mentioned something, keeps building my case for me. FAS roads, those get more funding, more of this, connecting community to community. What's the traffic count? Because that's what's killing us. What's the traffic count? Right? You're fixing Vineyard and 270th traffic count. It was about ready to put you guys in a massive liability because you can't see, right? And they can't stay on top of the maintenance because of traffic count. That's the same thing we're running into in these additions and trying to get them connected back to better roadways is traffic count. Other than that, I'm gonna close with the fact that I told every single person watching this who wanted the link, I would not leave here today, and you knew it was coming, without you setting another meeting to move forward. Give Bill plenty of time to see what he needs to do. You guys get a chance to get out in the community. But we need to definitely set another time to see what we're gonna do to move forward.
Well, Todd, to answer that question, traffic count, you just need to keep driving in there more.
I would do a lot for my neighbors, I would, trust me, I would be happy to. That's why I'm here today, is to try to help them all out.
We appreciate it. Good.
A couple things for my commissioners as far as, looking at another time. We have a couple, those watching and things, there's a couple opportunities for us to continue to delve into this. One is we have and hope you guys maybe have the schedule. I was trying to see what the schedule is, but we do have a road tour coming up. Maybe Brandon knows what the date is. We have a road tour that we take annually. And part of that road tour this year, I have requested to be drive through some of these subdivisions. During that road tour in past, we go see bridges and roads throughout the county. But for this year, part of that tour will be to look at subdivisions and drive through them and just get a good thing. The other opportunity for us, we have a not work session, what do we, retreat. We got a county retreat coming up where, again, we get together with other department heads, each of the department heads and the county commission and council to discuss all things county. But again, that's another opportunity for us to discuss together this subject here. So those are both coming up in
End of April.
end of April, I believe both will be.
The
May is the retreat, so I would, I'll let the others chime in, but I would say like the second or third meeting of May would be the next opportunity
Give me a
to
date, please.
have this on an agenda.
Can anybody pick a date? You got a lot of people watching, they're gonna wanna know what link they got assigned to.
13th to the 20th, second, 13th.
I think the 20th would encompass our retreat that
Yep.
way. I can't remember the date of the, okay,
Sixth, seventh,
7th and 8th, okay.
Council, do you have anything you would need to look into to make sure we're good?
I'm sure I do, but it'll come to me.
Okay,
Rose,
that's why we're trying
I
to keep
think
you in the
let's-
loop to make
I-
sure.
I was
this
I
goes
work for
smoothly.
them, so they give me
20th,
marching
20th.
orders
Okay.
too.
We'll have, another public conversation on May 20th. But I want to temper it a little bit. Wheels of government move slowly. So again, we're having these discussions, putting together a framework. As we go into our budget cycle, this is kind of one of those things we have to if we're going to put together a program, budgeting, that's looking at budgeting for 2026. And a program like this probably isn't implemented until 2027 or 8 or
Correct.
something like that. So
No, I can easily state for the
while I'm
record
happy to continue to have meetings and have these
Sure.
forums and have the back and forth and figure this out.
that when we came before you the first time, because as that first picture showed, we were to the point of that was almost having to put Brendan in emergency action to get out there and get it fixed. And that whole process, because the wheels of government do turn slow, that was 6 months.
Yeah.
Just to try to get it from when we first started going, guys, there's a problem. The temperatures flare to you gotta listen, we gotta fix it, before he could figure out how to get it in line and bump somebody else just to get the problem taken care of.
Well, I think our commission is trying to take a more proactive
Sure.
versus reactive in trying to help Brendan and his department transition, because they've been tied down to a reactive portion, so.
And hopefully, word of mouth plus people watching, there may be some of these other individuals come in
Could
the
be.
subdivision and say, hey,
Could be. A lot of people don't even like getting up here and speaking. It doesn't bother me at all to talk to
I
you
can
guys all
see
day
that,
long.
yeah.
And that's fine. And I just ask anybody with comments or concerns, go ahead and reach out
Yeah.
to us, to you, before,
Yeah.
that way we can bring in more ideas,
or Brandon.
Yeah, or
Or their
Brandon.
Yeah.
foreman, they got 2 road foremen, so, yeah, bridge,
So what date do you guys want to pick?
I believe the
Definitively?
20th.
20th, yeah.
May 20th.
We'll choose May 20th to continue the conversation.
Okay, May 20th, we'll reconvene.
Okay.
Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Ma'am?
Nope.
There's-
Okay.
Jennifer Teagat, Stonewood Estates North. You all mentioned cost sharing and TIF programs, and that may not be a conversation today. Maybe it's something we can follow up with on the 20th, but maybe a definition and explanation, because that affects the community members directly, what is meant by that. So as we go forward, maybe just kind of clarify
I
length
think
of
that's-
time,
I
you
think
know,
that's some of-
how the program works.
Right, I
So-
think that's some of the discovery that we're gonna have to do.
Yes,
is
yes.
Try and clarify what's reasonable or can be
Exactly.
done.
Yep, so, thank you.
So, thank you.
I guess I have a question for Bill. In the years that you've done this, has there any HOAs that have participated in something like this? Or is this something that you get to do some homework?
Well, I need to do some homework.
Okay,
But
okay.
Little Creek Estates is the one, from my understanding.
the what, which one?
Little Creek Estates.
Yeah, Little Creek
They had a
to,
TIF.
to do asphalt.
Yep, Stonewood Estates, the original Stonewood off of the bypass, they had one, but it was more with the city for supplying the utilities and everything.
Well, we have,
Other than, Little
Little Creek Estates. I
Little
don't think
Creek,
there's any-
I don't recall any others.
so we have, I'll use Munger as an example, has sewer improvement districts, or I believe Big Creek has a sewer district. We have districts like that generate some of their own funds and taxes to do that. Is that maybe a direction that we look to set some of this up?
That's kind of like the TIF is. The TIF by statute, if the county approves it, they can put on the tax roll 70% of the cost to the improvement to those parcels in that development. So the improvements would come 30% from the county, I believe, is 70% is the maximum that you can have for a TIF district. In county, whereas city, it's 100%. And then 30% would come from the rest of the county to improve those areas. But there's not an ongoing maintenance cost, it's a one and done, and
Yeah, but from my understanding, if you create a district, that district never goes away.
the
Not that it's,
TIF is
but
kind of
it's,
like, once it's paid out, my understanding for the county side.
yeah.
It's not a sewer improvement district, which would
I
never
guess
go away.
it's gonna be part of
It's
the
just for the
education process
infrastructure.
of the
Yeah.
directionality we wanna approach this
Yeah.
with.
The number of years that I've been operator, and even previous, like to say the Munger Improvement District has always just been used for the wastewater. It's
Yep.
not ever been used for anything else.
It's a question of, is it an opportunity?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Okay. We all got our homework to kind of work through.
Yeah.
But again, I think we appreciate having these conversations the way we're having it today, and having the county residents come speak to us in a way like this, present something to us that puts it in our hands to be able to hopefully put some action towards it. So appreciate it. With that, we'll move on. We got another agenda item, Ellis County Library Board appointment update and some funding request. Ben, I know Alicia, it looks like she had to step out. Ben Domi, if you would maybe present.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Benjamin Domi, president of the Ellis County Library Board. Miss Alicia Hammerschmidt was here. She kind of took the lead on this, but she did have to step out. She had an appointment at 10. First, we are requesting her to be reappointed. She's done a wonderful job. We have no complaints about her at all. She would like to be reappointed, so that's the first order. Secondly, we have our budget request kind of ready for this year, 2025. We've been kind of in a pickle because our set budget from taxes is 0, but we need some money to kind of get more off the ground and continue rolling before we can start collecting that $250,000 and seeing that money come in. Like the paradox we've been in is we need money to start a bank account and get software accounting, but we don't have it, so we can't receive it, and it's kind of been like a weird like whirlpool. So I believe this was sent to you guys. I can have a spreadsheet. If not, I can get an email to you. We had $367.50 allocated for the QuickBooks. Our treasurer, Jennifer Teagat, who's also here as well, did some research on different softwares, different programs that different libraries use, different governments use, different nonprofits use, and this was kind of the consensus of it's pretty on average for cost. It's not exorbitantly expensive, and it's very user-friendly. It's very helpful. I believe it's what the county uses. And we were able to get, if we do purchase that, get a new member discount, saving us some money this year. So that was very beneficial as well. We had $150 allocated for training. The State Department of Administration gives trainings for budget and budget creation, management, things like that. It's $75 a person, and we kind of kicked around sending the whole board, since we're all new, maybe just one person. We looked at if we send one person, if they have access to a recording or a webinar type digital media that we could use, and as far as we could tell, we didn't, so we decided maybe sending 2 people. We'd send our treasurer and myself. The biggest cost was our attorney fees. We had $13,500 allocated for that. The attorney we've decided to go with to hire was $300 an hour. We did look at everyone kind of researched different costs, different prices, and that seemed pretty average and pretty on par, plus our attorney was recommended to us through some other attorneys in town, so we decided to go with that. We explored a monthly retainer possibility, depending on how much work it is, with the cost, things like that, and the attorney we decided to hire didn't necessarily know how much work there would be done, so recommended that we start out with just an hourly rate of $300 and move from there. We thought maybe about 5 hours a month, starting in April through December, would be a good estimate for how much work might need to be done, because our attorney doesn't know, we don't necessarily know, we're all pretty new at this. So we thought that was a good estimate. And then we just kind of rounded out with $982.50 for miscellaneous office things, if we need to print agendas, if we have people coming into the meetings, if we kicked around getting Microsoft Suite so we could have things like Teams or a Zoom account for people to join the meeting virtually, things like that. So I would bring our total to $15,000 for this year. Do you guys have any questions, comments, concerns?
No, not.
All right, so again, Commissioners, this is because the district, the library doesn't, the levy doesn't take effect until January of 2026. So they've created their board, but as they have said, as you stated here, they have some action that they need to do, but they don't collect any of those funds. So this, and I'm just kind of filling you in, but you can speak for yourself too. Once that levy does go into effect, these costs then, you're not going to ask the commission directly for these costs to cover next year. It'll come from that.
Yes,
levy.
that's correct. We should start receiving that tax money to be able to sustain all of our own costs within ourselves, especially, which will be beneficial, that it'll be self-sufficient with some of those things like the QuickBooks, things like that going up. We'll be able to manage that within our own.
Which we were anticipating as a commission upon setting this whole.
Yeah. We don't have to prove it all necessarily. They can come back in our conversation. I do sit on the board with them. It was just kind of one of those things. Come once, instead of saying, you know, maybe come this time for 7,000, see if you spend it, and then maybe if you need more, come again. Figure it out and just say, how much do you think you need for the rest of the year? That way it's a kind of a one and done thing. With that, for the commissioners, you guys can certainly consider that if, you know, I'll take the attorney fees. I don't know if they're gonna need that much attorney. So if we looked at not doing the full 15,000 now, again, if they ended up using the attorney hours and then needed some additional funding, they could come back and ask for that, or we're at a position where we can just say approve it all now. And they would not have to refund us back if they did not end up spending it out. That would just, again, go towards the county library at that point.
Okay.
From my understanding with Darren, but he's not here to fully answer that. Maybe Bill could answer that. If we gave them 15,000, they don't spend it this year, they don't have to necessarily refund back
No,
that money. They just keep it in their
they'd keep,
account.
right. Although I would reserve the possibility of Darren saying otherwise. But I don't think so.
I know we're early enough in the year, but this would probably come out of contingency if I'm correct. I
Yes.
believe that's a discussion I had with Darren. I would feel okay if we went ahead and gave a 10,000 up front
Okay.
and got that started. that would get most of what they're doing, and then we could adjust at the end if necessary. If we got through the summer and we may need the attorney a lot more than what we're expecting. So, I would be okay with that.
Ben, do you guys feel comfortable
be-
with that?
yeah,
I
that'd be
mean, to get
perfectly-
started?
We'd be comfortable with that. We just kind of did an estimate with the attorney because the main thing with attorney is bylaws, looking over those and having them make sure our I's are dotted and T's are crossed with those. We can get those approved, which I don't think that would take up too much time of the attorney. We've done lots of the work on it ourselves and went through that process. So hopefully just having a official set of eyes look over it. And then the only other part of the attorney that we might need was there's been some discussion with moving forward with the Central Kansas Library System, if we would possibly withdraw things with the manifest harm and going through the state's hoops for it might require some legal advice from the attorney, but we are pretty early. We shouldn't use up all of that. So I think 10,000 would be a very reasonable, very appropriate choice.
Okay. Okay, cool. Well, with that, and as far as with Alicia, we knew that she was only gonna be on for one term, or I believe 1 year or 6-month term, and then have to be reappointed, so that was just the nature of the beast when we set this up. So with that, I will move to appoint Alicia Hammerschmidt to the Ellis County Library Board with the term expiring on April 30th, 2029.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second on appointment Alicia for another term. Any further discussion with that appointment? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No opposed, passes 3-0.
Okay, and then I will move to approve $10,000 for the Ellis County Library Board to have the county administrator use contingency funds for their identified 2025 expenses.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second on the table. Any further discussion there? Okay.
And if you need more, Ben, we're understanding. We just don't
Absolutely,
want to go
Yeah.
out, now.
We've been watching our budget pretty hard, as
Yeah.
Brendan can attest to. The first agenda item today, we're trying to watch it pretty hard, so, but again, if the 10,000 go through it, then feel free. We'll have more future board meetings, and so you'll feel free to come back to our commission and ask for a remainder amount, so. Motion is second on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No opposed. Passes 3-0. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you all, yes.
And thank you, Jennifer, for both
Yeah,
topics
thank
you've
you,
been here
guys.
for. With that, we are at the end. Mike, you want to speak for Darren on administrator report? Neil, any comments?
I was at the Northwest Kansas Juvenile Correction, which I sat on that board, I guess for 4.5 years now. Finally got to see 3 new commissioners. Didn't get their name because there was quite a few people there at this one. Also attended the Advantage Glass. They've been 32 years in. Supports our community big time. The other thing, I'd like to thank all the people that did come to the Lions Club pancake sausage feed. The numbers are in, and we served 840 people, which is good. Also, the scouts were there, helped. There was a lot of people helping on it. That's what it takes, work together, and we can get it done. Last but least, the best thing last week, Wednesday, with Fort Hayes and whoever else is involved, got to ride on a Black Hawk helicopter. The most important thing was I talked to the pilots before we left. There was 3 of them. I kind of told him my situation about losing our son, and he wanted to be a sniper / helicopter operator. And I asked him what the flight pattern was, and they asked, where do you want to go? And I said, I would love to go over to the cemetery at Munger, and how great. And they reserved a seat for me by the great big window, and very, very heartbreaking, but they did it very nice. That's all I have.
Very cool. Thank you.
I have no report this morning.
I don't have much. I attended the Lions Club Pancake Feed. I did go to a Workforce One. I'm on the Workforce One for the state board. Did go to Topeka to their meeting there, and I'll attend another meeting tomorrow in Salina for Workforce One. Other than that, I don't have anything else to report. We'll adjourn at 10:19. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone, for coming.